enjoying the best. Let's succeed, relieve your stress. So yes, let the music soothe your soul and keep it going just to refresh. Buckle and enjoy the ride from 2 to the half of the 5. Mondays to Fridays, happening live. When we gon' have a ball, you can text your guys. Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, us true. Are you ready for the traffic avenue? Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, us true. An applause for the traffic avenue.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue. Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, Traffic Avenue, oh
yeah. 97.3 Citi FM. It doesn't get any better than that.
Detailed news, unparalleled coverage. Citi News on 97.3 FM.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Citi News.
Citi FM. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Eyewitness News. Coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. I am Sammy Wiafi, and tonight I'm here with
Ejubi Wiafi Akintin.
Coming up in the next 1 hour, 30 minutes.
This audit has exposed a rotten system designed to fleece people of Ghana. It reveals not just lapses in our public financial management architecture, but a pervasive and systemic plunder of the public purse.
Finance Ministry releases what it calls Diamond Auditor General Report on arrears and payables as at December 31st, 2024. Tonight, we'll give you details of the report. Also coming up on Eyewitness News.
If you introduce this sliding scale, yes, you may accrue some revenue, but the net effect will be some job losses, close to about 1 million jobs.
Minority in Ghana's Parliament predict over Minority in Ghana's Parliament predict over 1 million job losses following passage of Minerals and Mining Royalty Regulation 2025. And later,
the people should also consider the impact on our pockets. Our children are being thrown out of school. We are having issues with our spouses.
So when the Local Government Staff Association of Ghana, Close Access, will only call off a strike if their demands are met. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and other stories on Eyewitness News. Coming up in business.
Securities and Exchange Commission cautions public on high risk of digital currencies.
Eyewitness News is live on our affiliates across the country. Around the globe, we're on citinewsroom.com. And talking about affiliates.
In the Western region, we're live on Adriampa 100.7 FM in Takwa Beach, 105.5 FM and Sky 93.5 FM both in Takrade. In the Bono region, tune into Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyane. In the Ashanti region, it's Adriampa 99.9 FM in Inkaria. In the Volta region, tune in to Heritage 107.3 FM in Hohoi and Freedom 88.1 FM in Sogakope. In the Northern region, tune in to Radio Gaki 88.3 FM in Saboba. In the Upper East region, we're live on Quality 88.7 FM in Garu, Bolga 102.7 FM in Bogatanga. In the Northeast region, it's Nobia FM 98.1 in Nalerigu. In the Upper West, tune in to Pupeli 92.7 FM in Wa.
You can join a conversation with your WhatsApp message. The number to send is 0539 986 996. 0539 986 996. Let's go to Parliament because Deputy Finance Minister today made a presentation on the floor of Parliament. Did you give it to us?
The Ministry of Finance says the current administration has rejected 8.1 billion Ghana cedis in government commitments recorded at the end of 2024. According to the government, the decision was taken after a review found that several of the claims claims were linked to work not executed, unsupported documentation, and falsified store receipts. The Deputy Minister for Finance, Thomas Nyako Ampem, disclosed this while addressing Parliament on the Auditor General's report on arrears and payables.
The Ghana Audit Service, working in partnership with EY and PwC, undertook an exercise to verify and validate a total of 68.7 billion Ghana cedis submitted to the Ministry of Finance in unpaid interim payment certificates, invoices, and bank transfer advices owed to contractors and suppliers. Out of this, outstanding IPCs and invoices amounted to 50.5 billion Ghana cedis, while outstanding bank transfer advices amounted to 18.3 billion Ghana cedis. Findings. Mr. Speaker, permit me to present some of the troubling findings of the audit. Out of the 68.7 billion Ghana cedis submitted for audit, a total of 45.4 billion Ghana cedis was deemed to be valid for payment. A total of 8.1 billion Ghana cedis was rejected for various reasons, including unsupported documentation, duplication, overstatement, already paid items, falsified stores receipt advice, and no work done. About 1 billion Ghana cedis of the outstanding BTAs, which refers to invoices and IPCs processed by MDAs in 2024, approved by Ministry of Finance, submitted to Controller and Accountant General's Department, and pending payment were rejected.
That was the Deputy Minister for Finance, Thomas Nyako Ampem.
Let's get some reactions on this story. Speak to Dr. Kabiru Tiamahama. He is the Member of Parliament for the Wali Wali constituency and a member of the Finance Committee of Parliament. Doc, good evening. Thank you very much for your time. When this presentation was made in Parliament, I saw you rise, opposing or rejecting a few things the Finance Minister said in that presentation. What is your opposition to some of the things that he presented to the House today?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, good evening to your listeners. Like you saw and rightly pointed when the Finance Minister presented the statement, my expectation was that the Finance Minister would come for the first time and then present a nationalistic view of the picture in a manner that will carry Parliament along. But to justify and to ground the perception they have created that some 68 billion areas were bequeathed to them, and that there were some issues with those areas. They were going to do some auditing. They had come and then they were justified in their auditing, and they uncovered massive and what they would term like systematic scheme to elude the state. So I needed to point to them, and rightly I did so, to the fact that in 2017, in the first place, this is not the first time a government taking over wanting to audit areas before paying. It is only proper and normal that when you inherit areas, you want to know the sense and you audit them. So we have no issue whatsoever with the auditing. But when I pointed to them, and I had to point to them that in 2017, when we inherited, there were some 11 to 13 billion areas. The then government took a decision to audit that. Of this particular 11 billion, some 5.7 billion were found to be, were rejected. And that was also categorized as fictitious. When we even look at the rate, that was over 60% of the areas were fictitious. Now, they are coming to tell us that of the 68 billion that were inherited as areas, only 11% of that, some 4 billion or 6 billion of that, has been found not to be supported by documentation or leading with some impropriety. It's okay. 11% means that there have been massive improvement in terms of the indiscipline in our financial practices. But to create the sense that this is new, to create the sense that you have, saved the country, and you see what is even funny is because the same finance minister was the deputy minister of finance. When over 60% of the areas were found not to be supported by facts. So our issue was the fact that, look, you've done some work, let the auditor report come, let us make the Parliament will debate the report. Let us punish those people found culpable. But they don't put narratives out there to sow the image of people to create a sense that the previous administration was found to be condoning with certain practices. In any case, the report shows some malpractices, but those malpractices shows a substantial reduction in terms of arrears that are not supported by any evidence or any document that have been submitted to the government to be paid. When you compare what the minister presented to what was uncovered in 2007, you see a clear improvement in the situation.
But look, if indeed there's a reduction, as you say, compared to the previous one, don't you think people should be held accountable? He should let Ghanaians know the clear situation and people be held accountable for some of these losses.
Yeah, clearly, as a Ghanaian, I think that the problem with accountability is the failure of the institution to investigate, to do the proper thing. They let the politics take the better side of it. For instance, if you come to present to Parliament that you find out that payment was supposed to be made by way of interest to the commercial bank, and you went to the commercial bank and that account did not exist, you clearly tell us that money couldn't have been paid because the account will have to exist in the bank for transfer to be made. So when you bring such an information to Parliament, it clearly shows that you are not even trying to speak to the real issue, because if you go to the commercial bank and the commercial bank told you that that account, that is called buffer account, it does not exist with them, and there's no account of that nature, clearly the money couldn't have been effected. So it either shows a clerical error or something fundamental wrong. Such money couldn't have been paid by any finance minister because the account you are referring to does not even exist, and the account has to exist before money can be transferred to it. So I think that them exposing these things are good. I mean, it's good. But the problem is that the finance, they are not doing it with the intention to actually punish people, but they are doing it to create a sense. In any case, we are almost finishing the first quarter of 2025. This government should be found prosecuting and punishing people who have been found to have flouted our rules. But they are so complaining, making propaganda, and that's our difficulty. But we fully support any decision to ensure accountability, transparency, and to make sure that people who have been found in financial malpractice or impropriety are dealt with according to the law of the country. So we support the ministry's action to do that. But we don't support the idea of prosecuting people before they are held. We don't support the idea of making people already guilty before they have their day in court. That we will never support. And the president in the State of the Nation address actually mentioned the fact that oral cannot work because there's rules of law in the country and that the constitution has to work. The same should have guided the Minister of Finance in this statement, but clearly he put aside the statement of the president and tried to make politics with the situation, and that is our difficulty.
Doc, just hold on for me. Let me go to the other line and speak to your colleague, Member of Parliament Ataisa, also a member of the Finance Committee and a member of Parliament for the Sanu constituency in the Northern region. Ata, for your colleague, Dr. Kabiru, this is just politics. It's not new. It's happened over and over. You're just coming out to name people so the other administration, the past administration, will just look bad in the eyes of Ghanaians.
All right, so let me say good evening to you and to Dr. Kabiru and to listeners. I think that our democracy has matured, and for that reason, if there was no change in 2024 elections, I'm sure Ghana would have lost close to about 8.1 billion Ghana cedis. That is the significance of the change that Ghanaians did in 2024. Now, just touching more on what Dr. Kabiru said. First of all, an audit process, if you know audit process very well, one, there is also management representation and client responses. So when the IMF under the 4th ECF review pointed out to the short-term liabilities of 68.7 billion Ghana cedis, that was during the transition, the IMF flagged it as a liability that needed to be validated. So then an audit was commissioned during the transition period. The audit findings, they've done forensic audits, and this forensic audit was done by major and reputable audit firms in the world. And they come out with independent findings. So you couldn't have gone ahead to prosecute people when you were not sure, because this was flagged by the IMF under the 4th ECF review. So that must be made clear. It is not that the government has waited for one whole year without prosecuting people. You prosecute people based on findings of an audit report. And then the accused persons was also given a hearing during the audit management process. The second issue I want to also clarify strongly is that there is no available information to suggest any scintilla of official report to suggest that there was an 11 to 13 billion Ghana cedis overpayment or fictitious payments in 2017. There was none like that. And anybody listening to us can do a quick check with any relevant agency whether there was an 11 to 13 billion fictitious payments that happened under the NDC regime from 2013 to 2016. There is nothing like that. Now, coming to this, it is important for us to highlight this. It's very important. And I will tell you why I'm sad as a Ghanaian today. Apart from looking at the bulk figures of the 8.1 billion, look at the implication here. If you look at the total of the 68.7 billion that was validated or that went through the audit process, almost 31% of the total claims that the service providers made to the government of Ghana could not be validated, revealing that serious weaknesses still persist in our public financial management systems. And that is my worry. We pass laws as a parliament, and then people find loopholes in the system to exploit the country. Nearly, it simply means that 1 out of every 3 Ghana cities claimed by the government institutions could not be verified. That is the implication. Every 1 city out of 3 Ghana cities could not be verified. Now, look at the specifics. And Dr. Kabiru, if you can let us go through it. It is for the both of us to be safe. Because when the public lose trust in politicians or the political class, it sets a bad precedent for our democracy. If you look at the claims, the 8.1 billion, Ghanaians should listen to us carefully. The amount was rejected by a joint team of PwC and other audit institutions, 3 audit institutions in the first place, confirmed by the IMF Debt Statistics Department. This validation was not done by only the audit firm, by the IMF also. And they found out this, that the 8.1 billion Ghana cedis was rejected because of fake documentations. This is alarming and damning to our state institutions. Duplicate invoices. People deliberately duplicate invoices to exploit the teeming suffering of our Ghanaian public and then depletion of our public purse. Also, overstated claims. So people do not do value for money. They just go in, inflate contracts, and then come to government of Ghana to flee our public purse. Also, invoices that were certified and paid by the Controller General and Accountant Department was also submitted once again for people to pay. This just demonstrated that our enforcement regime is still weak and we need to do something about it. If you look at Sami, let's go with the 1D1F. This was a major flagship program of the SY administration under His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo. 1D1F was a flagship program, same as we have the 24-hour economy. 89.4 million liability was submitted to the government. And I want to clarify something again. When they say it's in a buffer account, it does not suggest that the bank says the account doesn't exist. What happened was that the audit firms wrote for management representation from the banks to submit validated invoicing and receipts and then advance payment guarantees before such payments is made. It was when those submission was made to the banks for the advance payment guarantees for those institutions that provided service to the government of Ghana. That was the time that the bank said there was no outstanding liability in their bank for advance payment guarantees. So it does not mean that the bank said there is no account like that. So if we have 5 commercial banks confirming that they don't have any outstanding to even guarantee any advance payment guarantee, it means that the claim was fake and we could have lost additional 89.4 million. And this was supposed to be a government major flagship program. Government major flagship program. Look at during the COVID in 2020, during the dry spell in 23-24 farming season, it is shocking. My constituent is largely farming community or farming constituency. People could not harvest a lot. There was general starvation. The government brought a good intention of alleviating the suffering of our farmers and the general public in our agricultural zones. But apparently, people saw it as an avenue to milk the state once again. And this, I'm telling you, that people admitted during the management representation stage in the audit conference. And it is important for us to know this. Under the dry spell food program, rice, the government paid for 34,000 metric tons. Only 10,000 metric tons was delivered. Yes, government paid for 34 metric tons. 10,000 metric tons is not accounted for, and yet monies were paid. If you come to maize, the contract value was to supply 100,000 metric tons of maize. and only 11,900 metric tons of maize was delivered. Meanwhile, the total value for the 100,000 metric tons that was paid to the suppliers was 771 million Ghana cedis.
Okay.
And this is alarming.
Okay. Just hold on. Let me come to Dr. Kabiru. Doc, from the figures the Deputy Finance Minister released today, so it means clearly there's a problem or there's a challenge with the public finance management system of this country. How do we deal with this so we don't get this thing repeat itself over and over again?
Our proper solution, but before a proper solution, my colleague categorically said that there's no report of that nature. I've just sent you a report of that nature. And I say, you shouldn't do this to yourselves. That you come on national radio, categorically mention that, maybe I'll pardon him because my friend then was not in government. He probably would not have been privy to send a report to, probably he was in school. So he did not follow governance at that time. But I've just sent you a report of that particular statement. In fact, it is not just any report hitting. There's a news item on it. Probably just like we are publishing this issue. So it cannot be true that you come to national radio and state categorical that there have never been any areas that were audited in the past, of which from 5.7 billion were found to be unsupported. In fact, the term and the heading used was the ghost claim was the one they used for the 5.7 billion.
So Doc,
it cannot be true.
Okay, so I've seen what you sent me. It's a Ghana Web story. That says that government rejects 5.7 billion ghost claims.
Yeah, so
it's attributed to President
Akufo-Addo. I'll even send you the Auditor 2017 audited report. I'll send forward that to you. But I'm just giving you that report and that story to tell you that when my colleague mentioned categorically that there's nothing like that. I mean, I don't. With the greatest respect to my colleague, I don't want us to go with that because you are basically saying something that on the face of the facts is not true. But that said, again, the buffer account they said did not exist in the report. So I'm just telling you that if the buffer account does not exist, it means that no money could have been paid. In any case, look, I admit that there have been some problems with our governance. And even in my presentation today, I admitted that, look, proper record keeping is a problem across board. It didn't start in this regime, neither did it start in the previous regime or the regime before that. I admit and I concede that. And until we do something about proper data keeping, and that's the reason why we introduced the keeping system. Says that every payment will be will be digitized and people will electronically process payment. So all this system of missing IPCs, missing payment, interim payment certificates will not even arrive to start with. So that is another system that when we graduate and gravitate towards fully a digitized payment system, I'm sure we can verify this in real time, and that will actually reduce the inefficiency in the system. Again, I concede that even as this problem exists, there's also the tendency that people will collude and connive. And I tell you with that in a fear of favor that it happens. It happens in the previous regime. It's likely to happen in this regime, and that as the audit report is coming out, it's likely to have happened. I'm not by that saying it will never happen. It has never happened. But I'm just drawing your attention to the fact that it's a systemic problem. It is very, very much ingrained in our financial system, and we must do something to address it. But that cannot be done with the pusher, with the grandstanding, with the moral high heels that this government is putting, because they will need to get to work and fix the very issue. They are not about propaganda issues. They are issues that goes into our financial system, our systems, and standards are the problems. So I think we passed several laws in Parliament to check, such leakages within the system, and it seems not to be working. Yeah, so it is not working because one, the human element in this particular system is still the problem. Because irrespective of the systems you have, my brother, without the proper mindset of the Ghanaian, irrespective of who comes into office, it's going to happen. Less than 1 year into this particular office, there are issues of financial malpractices, there are issues of, so it's the human element. And I think that, and to address the human element, and because one, the law and the appropriate regime, I think the penalty regime is not strong enough, I think. And even the burden of proving this financial crime, they are categorized as normal crimes. The burden of proving is just like any criminal conduct, like murder. It's beyond reasonable doubt that the person has committed the crime. But I think that for this crime of dishonesty, or this crime that are involving financial malpractice, we should loosen the burden, we should reduce the burden, so that every person would have a moral responsibility, even as you are given a public office. There's that moral responsibility to be accountable and to be sure that you don't put that practice, that will cause the national conference.
Doc, I'll say a big thank you for your time. Isa, let me wrap up with you. Solutions. We passed a number of laws to address this problem. The public finance management system seems not to be working because every year we see the Auditor General's reports announcing irregularities here and there. How do we address this problem so that next year we don't have the same finance minister come to Parliament to come and give us such a damning report?
So I think that's important, and that's what I'll limit my statement on the way forward, because there are huge other duplicate overpayment, overpriced contracts and the rest. But I just want to repeat what I said earlier. There is no public record on an alleged 11 to 13 billion Ghana cedis fictitious payments that happened from 2013 to 2017. I'm not talking about a news item. Public record, and that's what I will leave it at. Now, looking at the way the situation is, it calls for major reforms. And one of the reforms that the Finance Ministry is bringing, and I think that it is already before Parliament, is the value for money bill. Now, we want to standardize price of all government major projects across the country. There shouldn't be a situation where a 6-unit classroom block at GTEC is different from the 6-unit classroom block constructed by the assemblies, and also different from the 6-unit classroom block constructed by Get Fund. We want to standardize procurement. Even the PPA only comes soon to strengthen compliance with procedure, but not to look at the value that the project delivers to the Ghanaian public, or every city should be able to deliver a value. So for me, the value for money audit, I think that Parliament have to quicken processes to bring it to fruition, because every municipality, every MDA will have a value for money officer, and without a value for money assessment, the project cannot start. And it comes in three folds. One is the pre-mandatory stage, within the implementation stage, and then the post-mandatory stage, where we are saying that before a contract is done, there should be a budget line approved by all statutory agencies that are required to give approval for that. Then within the implementation, we want to make sure that they monitor the project to see that there is no cost overruns, and then that deliveries of goods and services that have been procured are indeed delivered. So full digitalization also is important of our gift mix. We still have a lot of MDAs that are not connected under the gift mix project, and I think that the IMF has flagged that severally in making sure that we implement fully the public sector institutions to comply under the gift mix project. Then we must also have a central contract registry. All government contracts must be registered before payment, so that nobody can give us duplicated invoices and also supplying things that never exist, and you will still make payment to that. We must do something about it. And then finally, criminalizing people sometimes gives confidence in the public eye that the government is working. And I think that the Attorney General knows how to do the needful. Because this question they will throw to us as a government, that if you say there are mismanagement and all this, so what have we done about it? This has called for a broader conversation. Now that the report has been brought to Parliament, I think that the Auditor General and the Accountant General and that of the Attorney General should take necessary steps to make sure that, one, we prosecute, we set charge, and recover all these monies, those that was paid over, even within the 45.8 billion that was paid. We have to go through it. We shouldn't just leave it at those that are validated for payment. We must go through the entire 68.7 billion to make sure that we root out any claims of overpayment or payment for no work done. We have to do everything humanly possible to deal with that in order to save the country from financial loss.
Atta, thank you very much for your time. Atta Isa is the Member of Parliament for the Saranugu constituency and a member of the Finance Committee of Parliament. Earlier, you heard Dr. Kabiru Tia Mahama. He's a Member of Parliament for the Wale Wale constituency and also a member of the Finance Committee of Parliament. This is Eyewitness News coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. A few of your WhatsApp messages. The findings in the Auditor General's reports are troubling, to say the least, with the people from Oyarefa. Akapo in Afomem says, we always hear about the report of the Auditor General all the time, but yet we don't see people face the law. It is about time people are prosecuted for the wrongs they've committed to the country. From Kennedy Nipa Yede says, President John Dramani Mahama's administration is really doing a great job in stabilizing the Ghanaian economy. Abi National Inwa says, let us expose persons who loot this country and shame them. It is the best way to save the public purse. Jones Adoboy Inla says, I have always maintained that President Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia government did not do this country any good. they left this economy in shambles. Those calling for prosecution arrest should be mindful of what they call for. And Aziz Dula Inwa says the minority is becoming unpopular among voters because the activities are not conforming with the political beliefs. This is Eyewitness News coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, because there's an issue in respect of the minority in Ghana's parliament predicting over 1 million job losses following the passage of the Minerals and Mining Royalty Regulation 2025.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Oh, jump on go. Ah, Ugomi, and what time when you come back, we are not hear the sound of your car. Why you buy new car? No, I not change my car. It be the same, right? It be the fuel where I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so. This is the type of fuel where they want to. Cause now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive sir. Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mind says be the 3-in-1 action, no? Excellium they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. So where can I find this magical fuel? Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you. Hey, then make a finish my go be fast then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand my go be inside? I give you info. Make a feel the go be too small. Go. Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
Kuma has always dreamt of commanding his own military forces.
Attention! Eyes right, stand at ease.
Because that dream is still a vision in progress, he spends his time commanding his money with the EcoBank mobile app.
Operation Supplier Payment. Dispatch 1,000 units of currency from Accra to Benin. Move!
Sometimes he wants a little extra control so that he can buy only what he needs.
Command Center mobile app. Activate virtual card protocol and initiate payments for sneakers and t-shirts. Abort mission for leather coat payment.
Even when the general is fast asleep, his standing order marches out to sort his bills. With the EcoBank mobile app, you can command your money to make safe transactions in Ghana and across 33 African countries. Download the EcoBank mobile app on the Play or App Store today.
By the left, about turn.
EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. EcoBank will never call or send an SMS asking for your PIN, OTP, bank card, or Ghana card details.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Yeah, welcome back. You're still listening to Eyewitness News coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. AGB has some more stories.
The minority in Parliament is predicting the loss of about 1 million jobs following the government's introduction of the Minerals and Mining Royalty Regulations 2025. The legislative instrument, which matured into law yesterday, establishes a sliding scale framework that allows royalty rates to be adjusted in response to fluctuations in international market prices, enabling the states to earn more during periods of high commodity prices. Addressing journalists, the chairman of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee, Patrick Boama, said the new regulation could make Ghana's mining sector unattractive to investors.
We are expecting between the last 5 years to end of 2028 an investment flow of about $7 billion. And the support that this investment will give to the local companies, local content, and what have you. If you introduce this sliding scale, yes, you may accrue some revenue, but the net effect will be some job losses that I'll be sharing with you in the report that I'll be giving to you, close to about 1 million jobs. If you lose close to 1 million jobs because the investment required did not come in, you are not going to get the employees' tax from companies, and what have you. The job losses, you are not going to expand, yes.
Patrick Boama is the chairman of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee and MP for Okankwe Central.
Let's go more on this and speak to Engineer Kenneth Ashipe. He's the CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Mines. Engineer, good evening. Thank you very much for your time. For purposes of education, tell us more about this Minerals and Mining Royalty Regulation 2025, which I believe your chamber had a role to play in this formulation.
Well, I'm not too sure you would say we had a role to play. When the proposed LI was being slated, we got an opportunity of meeting the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. And so we pointed out that the sliding scale in itself is a good thing, to say that government and the people of Ghana should benefit a lot more from the gold resources that we're endowed with. When the price of gold increases, is good. And then when the price comes down, we can then reduce it. It's a good thing to happen. The challenge we had was the scale that had been put, 5 to 12%, which then meant that we were actually sliding only upwards. We're not sliding downwards. So we had proposed, made a proposal then when we met the minister of a 4 to 6. So we slide downwards to 4, and then when the price gets up, we end at 6. And then we added an additional 2% that would be taken off net profit. It is important to note that Ghana, our royalties is taken off the gross revenue. It's taken off your gross revenue. So once you start producing, whether you are making profit at that point or you are making losses, you have to pay that. And so we had pointed out that when you fix your sliding scale at virtually 12%, because that's what with the prices of gold at 5,000, and that's what you are going to be asking to be paid. The impact that is going to happen on investment, and we should bear in mind, this is not just foreign investment, but even local investments as well. The impact on projects, currently, what you would be expecting is that when the price of gold is going up, this is the time where all bodies that are low grade, you bring them into your processing plant because now you have some room to be able to work. But if you don't do that, then what? And you increase your royalties to that level. What then happens is that you don't become competitive. And when that happens, as the chairperson of the Subsidiary Legislative Committee said, when we met their committee, we mentioned it to them. What is going to happen is that projects that are needed, currently there's a mine that has only about 3 years left on its life of mine, and it needs to extend its life of mine. It would need about $170 million to be able to do that. That investment, if they are going to model it at a royalty rate of 12%, from 5 to 12% plus, the Minister of Finance had promised that he was going to take the growth and sustainability levy 2% off. Even if he took that 2% off, you are left with 1% that translates to about 1.46% of royalty. So that 13.46% royalty, you will not be as competitive. Just across the street to Cote d'Ivoire, to Guinea, they are going to be competitive. So the point we had made to government before this LI went to Parliament and to the Subsidiary Legislative Committee where we met them, to the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources when we met them, and the paper that we have submitted to government, all of that points out to the fact that if you go on the trajectory we're going to, what is going to happen is that we're going to sacrifice, sustainable income into the future, because the investments that are required today to be able to extend the life of mine, investments that are needed for new projects that are coming up. Let's bear in mind, Azuma, for example, is a local company going out there to go and look for funding. The cost, this added cost, your royalty of 12 or 13.46% is going to be factored into the investment that you're going to look for. And so that is going to impact upon our tomorrow. And the interesting thing, when the Minister of Finance went into Parliament to go and talk about the gold reserve project, he lamented that the previous government had taken decisions that had impacted on revenues into the oil and gas sector, which was resulting in the challenges we're seeing in the oil and gas sector. This current LI, if we leave it the way it is, would have the same impact. So, in as much as the law, the LI is maturing, we believe that we'll continue to engage with government. So apart from our paper that we've done, we also engaged an independent entity, Ernst & Young, who had done some work, similar work in Côte d'Ivoire, to also do some review and then give us an independent position. And their position they came to, supports the point we make. So we've shared that with also the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources. We are hoping that we'll get an opportunity to sit around the table with the technocrats from the two ministries to be able to get a sweet spot so that Ghana would benefit from the increased price of gold as we speak today and also into the future.
Not to bring you to the politics of the MPP and the NDC, or the minority and the majority, Patrick Boama is of the view that if this is allowed to go as it is now, there may be job losses. Close to over 1 million people within the sector may lose their job. And from where you sit as a chamber, this will be a big blow to the operations of these companies.
Well, again, this is a point we made to the subsidiary legislative committee when we met them. This is a point we made to, again, as I said, to the Minister for Lands and with Minister of Finance as well. So for me, it is neither about what the situation is. The thing about it is that no mining company is going to leave Ghana today.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear, engineer.
So I'm saying that no mining company.
I can't hear you again.
Hello, can you hear me?
It's better now.
Okay, so I'm saying that no mining people are short because royalties have gone to 12%. But what is going to happen is that the investments are required, to be able to extend life of mine.
Hello? Yeah, I'm afraid the telephone line is dodgy at the moment, and we can hardly hear you. But the point is the point is well made. I'm afraid, and I'm sorry, we can't hear you any further. Thank you very much, Joe, for your time. Engineer Kenneth Ashibe is the CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Mines. This is Eyewitness News coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. Let's go back to Parliament.
The Speaker of Parliament, Alban Babin, has announced the introduction of a private members' bill to amend the Criminal and Other Offences Act. The bill aims to address concerns about vote buying and other illegalities associated with party primaries and by-elections. Speaking during proceedings in Parliament, the Speaker said the proposed legislation will seek to strengthen the legal framework governing elections within political parties and by-elections.
Your winning this by-election has also triggered urgent action in this house. And so we have in this house a proposed private members bill which is meant to amend the Criminal and Other Offences Act to include conduct and acts during by-elections and also primaries of political parties. It's important I draw attention to this because we need all of you to come together for us to do what we believe is right. And so I will congratulate you because you followed what was the law. But we are now going to change that law and make sure that the sentiments and concerns that Ghanaians have raised become binding law on all of us.
Also speaking on the floor of Parliament during the swearing-in of Mohamed Baba Jama as the Member of Parliament for Ayawasu East, the Speaker Alban Babin cautioned the new lawmaker to focus on serving his constituents and the nation.
You voluntarily offered yourself to serve the good people of the Ayawasu East constituency. In your campaign, you stated that you want to serve them as a member of parliament and by doing so serve Ghana. You don't want to serve Ghana as a high commissioner in Nigeria. I took note of those statements. He knows what I mean by saying that it's not the word of the general son I've been using for all of you. This one is different. And he knows the import of that. I will hold you accountable to the good people of Ayawasu East constituency.
You heard Speaker of Parliament Alban Babin. Day 2 of the nationwide strike by the Civil and Local Government Staff Association of Ghana (CLOGSAG) is still affecting operations in some ministries and public offices across the country. The strike, according to CLOGSAG, follows government's failure to implement the agreed new salary structure and conditions of service. During a visit to some institutions, the head of public relations at the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, Abraham Otebel, appealed to the government to quickly resolve the impasse.
In this ministry, they don't have wholly CLOGSAG staff. They have other public servants who have been seconded here. There are also very few audit staff from this here at the ministry. So if there's a chance we've seen 1 or 2 people here, they are also attending to other critical issues. And as a PRO, I've also been called into is taken for 1 or 2 assignments. And that's why we are here. But most importantly, we will also limit CLOGSAG and our leadership to collectively work together closely to bring this issue to a close. Well, it's something that is dear to both parties. And I think that resolving it timelessly will help CLOGSAG members and will help Ghana, our country as well. So we want to call on our leaders, both sides, to work together.
Head of Public Relations at the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, Abraham Otebel. Now, the Ministry of Roads and Highways has suspended a traffic diversion near the Titakwashi interchange after severe congestion. The diversion was introduced to allow engineers to expand the bridge as part of the Accra-Tema motorway reconstruction project. Speaking to Citi News, Chief Resident Engineer Kwabena Bimpong said the exercise has been halted while authorities consider alternative traffic management options.
Yesterday, we then decided that we were going to block, as part of the plan, right? We started on Saturday. We blocked that road leading to Medina and then diverted the traffic onto the Accra-bound lane. Therefore, we have 4 lanes there, so we reduced them to 2. But yesterday's traffic, even though we had the police managing and everything with all the communication, we still want to have had handle on it because it caused massive traffic yesterday. And therefore, we've had to open the road, we had to halt the exercise and then go back to our drawing table and see if there's another way of doing it. You know, we've done this and we've tested it, but unfortunately, yesterday's traffic was just, and maybe if we're listening to you, whether it is because of the long holiday or whatever, we don't really know. We've had to scale back and then have a second look at it.
Kwabena Bimpong is the Chief Resident Engineer of the Tema Motorway Reconstruction Project. Away from that, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has dropped charges against Albert Ankra, the 4th accused in the ongoing corruption and money laundering case involving former Chief Executive of the National Petroleum Authority, NPA, Mustafa Abdul Hamid, and others. Albert Ankra will instead be presented as a witness for the prosecution. Mr. Ankra was originally charged on several counts relating to the alleged laundering of proceeds from an extortion scheme at the NPA. The decision was disclosed in court today during a case management conference before Justice Kokuvite. The case has been adjourned to March 24. Now, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority (DVLA) is warning the public against acquiring DV number plates from unauthorized sources. This follows the arrest of 5 persons linked to the manufacturing and distribution of fake DV plates. Speaking to Citi News, Director of Corporate Affairs at the DVLA, Stephen Etua, urged the public to remain vigilant when acquiring number plates.
Every DV plate, for instance, if you pick a DVLA DV plate issued and you look at the license plate itself, we use a different manufacturing component, so we call it the aluchrome. But then you see that the fake one actually has an aluminium plate that is shiny. When you turn the back of it, you see it. In addition, another security feature that you can use to detect it is to look at a QR. There's a QR code attached to it. Our QR code will take you to a serial number that gives you every clear indication that it is issued from DVLA. But if you attempt to scan the fake one that we've seen in the system so far, it is a sticker that has been stuck onto the plate. When you scan it, it takes you into some UK database that gives you a clear indication that this is not issued from DVLA. And that is what we can caution the general public. But like I said earlier, sub-regulation 11 of LI 2180 regulation 23 provides a clear indication of anybody found in possession. So it is for you as a buyer to be aware of what you are buying, such that if you do not cross-check and make sure that what you have is authentic, when you are caught by the law enforcement, you are in possession of a forged DV plate, and the law will deal with you.
Stephen Ato is the Director of Corporate Affairs at the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority.
Yes, so listening to Eyewitness News. Coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll do Citi Business News, and it's brought to you by the Republic Bank. We are the one for you. Join the Republic verse. Do more, shine more, big up.
Mr. Kojo, 1 minute before you go to work. The AC you said you want to fix, it won't work.
Why?
Because the electrician will come and chisel my wall. It will make my building weak. Wait, is that a puppy? No animals in my house,
Kojo knows all the challenges about renting. That was his reality until he discovered Republic Bank. With Republic Bank's flexible mortgage solutions, you can move from tenant to homeowner quickly. Imagine stepping into your own home, a place for your family to grow and create memories. Big up. Join the Republic Verse. Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. I am Ejibi Wiafe Akentin. Let's settle for the details. The Securities and Exchange Commission says virtual assets such as cryptocurrencies remain high-risk investments, cautioning that investors could lose part of or all of their funds due to the volatility associated with digital assets markets. This warning follows the issuance of new regulatory sandbox guidelines designed to allow fintech firms and market operators to test emerging financial innovations, including virtual asset services in a controlled environment.
According to the framework, companies seeking to deploy services involving digital assets, tokenized securities, blockchain platforms, and other financial technologies may apply to operate within a supervised testing structure before receiving full regulatory approval. The sandbox will enable the Commission to closely monitor innovative products that do not yet fit squarely within existing regulatory rules, while ensuring investor protection and market integrity. Under the guidelines, applicants must demonstrate strong governance structures, risk management systems, and adequate consumer protection safeguards before being admitted. Firms participating in the sandbox will operate under defined conditions and reporting obligations, while regulators assess the viability, risk, and potential market impact of the new financial solutions.
Emmanuel Upon with that business desk report. Away from that, the International Finance Corporation, the IFC, says improving access to finance for women entrepreneurs in Africa requires a more holistic approach that goes beyond simply expanding credit to women-owned businesses. Speaking on the sidelines of the Ring the Bell for Gender Equality 2026 event organized by the Ghana Stock Exchange in partnership with IFC, Division Director for the West Africa Gulf of Guinea, Natalie Akon, said structural barriers continue to constrain the growth of women-led enterprises despite ongoing financing initiatives.
When women have equal access to education and they transition to entrepreneurship, then it's about their safety, making sure that they can earn an income abroad and use transport that are safe, but they can also have full control of their collateral or the revenue that they generate under their business. In many cases, there's still what is called financial abuse that target more specifically women. The third aspect of that is full integration in value chains. As long as women business will not be able to access those big contracts, their business will remain small and fragile. So it's really about taking a holistic approach to the issue of access to finance. And this is what we can do through the World Bank Group, working with the bank that support government and advise on how they can tackle gender inequality, but also with IFC that's really tackle gender in the private sector. And when we look at access to finance for women in the private sector, we always look at it through three angles. It's about accessing finance, but it's also integrating them in value chains, and it's also about building their capacity as women entrepreneurs to really be able to thrive.
She also commended government's efforts to establish a women's bank to provide finance for female entrepreneurs, but says broader structural reforms will be required to achieve meaningful economic empowerment.
Let me applaud the government for such an initiative, which is bold and necessary, especially in a country like Ghana, given the vast majority of women entrepreneurs. Is it enough? No. As I mentioned, you have to look at the entirety of barriers that women are facing. But I know that your government is also tackling gender in education to make sure that girls have access to equal education. I know also that the government, through the different programs they have with the World Bank, look at issues like gender-based violence and safety of women. So it's, once again, an holistic approach that is needed if we really want to tackle this issue of access to finance. Unfortunately, progress has been extremely slow.
That was the IFC Division Director for the West African Gulf of Guinea, Natalie Akon. The Trade Union Congress is encouraging workers to prioritize their long-term financial security by actively contributing to the National Pension Scheme administered by the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT. This call was made during an engagement between SNIT officials and the leadership of the TUC in the Upper West region to strengthen collaboration and educate workers on benefits of pension participation. The following report has more.
The engagement formed part of SNIT's 30-year forum initiative, designed to deepen awareness about the pension scheme and encourage wider participation among workers across both the formal and informal sectors. Addressing participants, Secretary General of TUC, Joshua Ansah, stressed that workers must take personal responsibility for their financial future by contributing consistently to pension schemes during their active working years. He warned that failure to plan adequately for retirement could expose workers to financial hardship later in life.
Once you have been employed, once you work, once you have your own employment, once you do things on your own, your future must be a something for you. You have to take care of your own future. And to take care of your own future is to belong to SNIT so that you can contribute whilst you are working. In the future, you live in dignity. Otherwise, you work your lifetime, you retire, and you face the weather.
Meanwhile, the Director General of SNIT, Kwesi Afrebene, disclosed that the trust asset base continues to expand as stakeholders' engagement with organized labor deepens. According to him, SNIT's assets grew from 20.4 billion Ghana cedis at the end of 2024 to over 25 billion Ghana cedis by close of 2025, reflecting speedy growth in the National Pension Fund. He does admonish both workers and employers to support the scheme.
The scheme is growing. At the end of 2024, the total asset value under investment was 20.4 billion. By end of 2025, we had grown the scheme from 20.4 billion to in excess of 25 billion at end of 2025. That is a scheme that is growing. A question came up about some of the investments, and I'll speak to add that a lot of our investments are doing well. We mentioned Labadi Beach Hotel, for instance, that in 2025 made profits of 77 million.
Director General of SNIT, Kwesi Afrebene, ending that report by Martina Masono Zabo. Now, the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors has rejected claims that bulk import, distribution and export companies are hoarding petroleum products in anticipation of price increases in the next fuel pricing window, which commences on March 16. In a statement, the Chamber described the allegations as false and misleading, insisting that petroleum products continue to be supplied to fuel depots across the country in line with established distribution patterns. More in the following report by Citi Business News' Daniel Sakete.
According to the Ghana Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, bulk import, distribution and export companies have been actively delivering products since the beginning of the first pricing window for March, covering the period from 1st March to 15th March. The Chamber noted that these firms are also honoring their contractual supply commitments to oil marketing companies, ensuring that the downstream supply chain remains functional. The Chamber further indicated that available industry data does not support claims of hoarding. Information from the Enterprise Relational Database Management System of the National Petroleum Authority shows that products distribution and depot loading patterns remain consistent with historical trends, suggesting that supply activities are ongoing. The Ghana Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors also expressed concern about publications suggesting that industry players are prioritizing commercial profits over national interests, describing such assertions as unfortunate given the role of bulk distributors in maintaining fuel availability in the country. The Chamber added that industry stakeholders are currently engaging with the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition and other relevant institutions to mitigate the impact of rising global oil prices on consumers. Ghana Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors reiterated its commitment to conducting business responsibly while ensuring stable petroleum product supply within Ghana's downstream sector.
Citi Business News' Daniel Sakete with that report. Ghana's headline inflation is expected to edge up slightly to between 3.5% and 3.8% in March 2026, despite the continued easing observed in recent months, according to the economic and fixed income analyst at Databank, Wilson Zilevu. Firm global crude prices, driven in part by escalating geopolitical tensions in the Middle East, are likely to push up ex-pump fuel costs, and this will exert mild upward pressure on Ghana's overall price levels.
I'll say this from a purely factual standpoint, that part of the 3.3% year-on-year disinflation recorded in the month of February was aided by base effects. Recall back in 2025, the sharp disinflation was witnessed in quarter two, where the Citi has surged in terms of value. We are yet to enter quarter two, gradually moving away from a favorable base effect. However, we can confidently say that some supply chain disruption of a key staple like tomato would have a negative pass-through effect in the headline inflation print of March. Compounding this effect is most likely what is currently happening geopolitically, where we should then see it translate into the cost of transportation. Already, the first pricing window has led to increase in export prices. If there are no near-term domestic intervention, a second pricing window should also result in another increase. Ultimately, OMCs should increase their prices of fuel, and that should translate into the general price of goods and services. Our forecast stands at 3.75% for the month of March this year.
Economic and fixed income analyst at Databank, Wilson Zilevu. And that's all for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News, brought to you by Republic Bank. We are the one for you. Join the Republic verse. Do more, shine more, big up. I am Ejibi Wiafe Akensi. Up next is Point Blank.
Mr. Kojo, 1 minute before you go to work. The AC you said you want to fix, it won't work.
Why?
Because the electrician will come and chisel my wall. It will make my building weak. Wait, is that a puppy? No animals in my house, oh.
Kojo knows all the challenges about renting. That was his reality until he discovered Republic Bank. With Republic Bank's flexible mortgage solutions, you can move from tenant to homeowner quickly. Imagine stepping into your own home, a place for your family to grow and create memories. Big up. Join the Republic Verse. Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Ramadan Kareem, a season of peace, blessings, and giving. Electroland Ghana Limited is bringing blessings into your home with special value deals on Samsung, TCL, Media, and NASCO. NASCO TVs from just $699, bottom fridge freezer from $1999, chest freezer from $1999, Samsung 6kg twin tab washing machine for 2,999 Ghana cedis, Samsung microwaves from 1,799 Ghana cedis, TCL 43 inches for 2,999 Ghana cedis, TCL water dispenser for 1,599 Ghana cedis, TCL front load inverter for 5,999 Ghana cedis, Media air cooler for 1,499 Ghana cedis, air fryer, juicer, stand mixer, and blender at all special Ramadan prices. Visit EGL showrooms and authorized dealers nationwide. Call us on 0503-159739 and on our website at www.electrolandgh.com. Electroland Ghana, bringing Ramadan value home.
Introducing Yomi Pina Colada and Peach, our newest addition to the Yomi family. Life is full of choices, so here are more Yomi flavors to spoil you for choice. Go on, choose great taste, choose nourishment, choose the new Yomi Yogurt Pina Colada and Peach. And always remember that the choices we make today shape our tomorrow. Yomi, a nourishing choice. Yomi Yogurt Pina Colada and Peach. More quality products from Amigo Ghana Limited. This advert is FDA approved.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Welcome back. You're still listening to Eyewitness News, and this is Point Blank. On Point Blank tonight, we go to Parliament, where the Deputy Finance Minister, Thomas Ampemnyako, today made a presentation in the House on behalf of Finance Minister Dr. Kesela Tuforsin on the report of the Auditor General on arrears and payables as at the end of 2024, pursuant to Order 912 of the Standing Orders of Parliament. Let's hear the presentation in the House of Parliament by the Deputy Finance Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I stand before you to deliver a statement on behalf of Dr. Kesela Tuforsin, the Minister for Finance. And the statement is on the audit of the arrears, as was reported to this House during the mid-year budget review. Right, Honorable Speaker, I'm grateful for the opportunity to make this statement on a matter that is very important to this Republic. This is a report on the systemic plunder and abuse of the public financial management system. By the time I'm done with this presentation, it will become clear that something needed to be done to save our economy. Mr. Speaker, the Minister for Finance informed this August House during the mid-year review of the 2025 budget of the ongoing audit of government arrears and commitments as at end 2024, and promised to submit same to this House when the process is completed. The Ghana Audit Service, working in partnership with EY and PwC, undertook an exercise to verify and validate a total of 68.7 billion Ghana cedis submitted to the Ministry of Finance in unpaid interim payment certificates, invoices, and bank transfer advices owed to contractors and suppliers. Out of this, outstanding IPCs and invoices amounted to 50.5 billion Ghana cedis, while outstanding bank transfer advices amounted to 18.3 billion Ghana cedis. Findings. Mr. Speaker, permit me to present some of the troubling findings of the audit. Out of the 68.7 billion Ghana cedis submitted for audit, a total of 45.4 billion Ghana cedis was deemed to be valid for payment. A total of 8.1 billion Ghana cedis was rejected for various reasons, including unsupported documentation, duplication, overstatement, already paid items, falsified stores receipt advice, and no work done. About 1 billion Ghana cedis of the outstanding BTAs, which refers to invoices and IPCs processed by MDAs in 2024, approved by Ministry of Finance, submitted to Controller and Accountant General's Department, and pending payment were rejected. Mr. Speaker, this 1 billion Ghana cedis that was rejected by the audit would have been paid if the Ministry of Finance had not made a bold decision to stop payment in January 2025. About 7.1 billion Ghana cedis of the outstanding IPCs and invoices, which refers to requests by MDAs for payments to suppliers and contractors, and certified for payment by various public officers across the approval hierarchies, have also been rejected. They were rejected for various reasons, including absence of supporting documents, duplications, recycled invoices and IPCs, overstatements, and no work done. Again, an amount of 13.3 billion Ghana cedis is yet to be validated for various reasons, including lack of third-party confirmation, inadequate documentation, and no supporting contracts. Mr. Speaker, fictitious debt of 89.4 million Ghana cedis. The then Ministry of Trade and Industry in 2024 submitted a request of 89.4 million Ghana cedis to the Ministry of Finance to be transferred to 5 commercial banks as government's contribution to interest payments under the One District, One Factory initiative. The Ministry of Finance subsequently processed same to the Controller and Accountant General's Department for payment. But Mr. Speaker, this particular request was part of BTAs sitting at the Controller and Accountant General's Department awaiting cash for payment. When auditors contacted these 5 banks to confirm the liability, every single one of them denied being owed any amount by government under the said arrangement. According to the auditors, the said 89.4 million Ghana cedis debt was fictitious. Without the audit intervention, a whopping 89.4 million Ghana cedis of hard-earned public money could have been disbursed to settle this non-existent liability. Mr. Speaker, only God knows how much of taxpayers' money has been lost to similar fictitious claims. Right, Honorable Speaker, payment of 10.5 million Ghana cedis was recorded as having been made into an account named the buffer account at a commercial bank. Upon verification, the bank confirmed that it had never received such payment. The account number cited did not exist within the bank's records and did not even conform to its account numbering format. The evidence from the audit pointed to a completely fictitious account. Mr. Speaker, as a result of these fictitious accounts linked to the One District, One Factory payments, the entire 1D, 1F scheme requires a forensic audit which will be carried out soon. More so when government is said to have spent 391 million Ghana cedis as its contribution towards 1D, 1F interest subsidies as at the end of 2024. The dry spell expenditure. Mr. Speaker, in 2024, the government of Ghana paid for 34,000 metric tons of rice to address the impact of the dry spell. However, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture received and distributed 24,000 metric tons of rice. To date, 10,000 metric tons of rice remains unaccounted for, even though the entire quantity has been fully paid for. The audit revealed that the government of Ghana also contracted a company to supply 100,000 metric tons of maize. The Ministry of Food and Agriculture submitted stores receipt advice as evidence of delivery of the 100,000 metric tons of maize worth 771.2 million Ghana cedis to the Ministry of Finance for payment, but only 11,900 metric tons was supplied and distributed. Mr. Speaker, it is worth noting that the store's receipt advice was supported by a checklist that was certified by the internal auditor of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. Overpayment for transportation of grains. Mr. Speaker, under the Farmer Food Relief and Recovery Program, a transportation company was contracted to transport 134,000 metric tons of maize and rice to farmers across the country at a contract sum of 115.2 million Ghana cedis. Even though the company transported only 35,000 out of the 134,000 metric tons, which should have costed 30.9 million Ghana cedis, the company was paid in cash 50 million Ghana cedis. In addition to this payment, the company was given 7,311 metric tons of rice, equivalent to 14,622 bags of 50 kg rice, which amounts to 11.7 million Ghana cedis in lieu of cash for no work done. This brings total payment to 61.7 million cedis to the transportation company. As a result, the Auditor General accordingly rejected an amount of 65.2 million Ghana cedis that was requested by the Ministry of Food and Agriculture as additional payment to the said transport company. The unfounded teacher trainee arrears. The Ministry of Education reported unpaid allowances totaling 160 million Ghana cedis to teacher trainees under the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission. When auditors engaged GTEC, the agency confirmed that as of December 2024, there were no outstanding arrears. Over 159 million Ghana cedis would have been lost but for this audit. Mr. Speaker, an amount of 6.1 million Ghana cedis appeared on the Ministry of Education's BTA schedule at the Controller and Accountant General's Department, even though the same funds had already been paid by a donor partner. Such entries opened a door for double payments and exposed a dangerous pattern of weak oversight and porous coordination between donor and government financial records. Mr. Speaker, auditors identified BTAs totaling 293 million Ghana cedis for 6 MDAs with no documentation. There were no contracts, no IPCs, and no record of any executed work. Mr. Speaker, the breakdown of the unsupported BTAs are as follows. Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, 241.2 million Ghana cedis. Ministry of Roads and Highways, 26.3 million Ghana cedis. Judicial Service, 18.2 million Ghana cedis. Ministry of Special Initiatives, 3.7 million Ghana cedis. Ministry of Health, 2.4 million Ghana cedis. And the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice, 782,262 Ghana cedis. Falsified stores receipt advices intended for misappropriation of public funds. Mr. Speaker, auditors uncovered transactions worth 9.4 million Ghana cedis supported by forged stores receipt advices, SRAs, that had been used to justify requests for payment for goods that were never delivered. Ministry of Defense, 4.8 million. A contract between the Ministry of Defense and a company for vehicles intended for border surveillance and monitoring of the 2024 general election revealed that despite the issuance of stores receipt advice, which is an official document confirming that goods have been received, dated 12 October 2024, the vehicles were never delivered. Similarly, the Judicial Service appeared to be caught in a web of falsified stores receipt advice. While an SRA dated 25th October 2024 claimed the receipt of 7 Toyota saloon cars, as soon as the audit was initiated, the supplier wrote to the Judicial Service on 10th April 2025, indicating their inability to supply the said vehicles as scheduled. This shows that fraudulent documents were submitted to the Ministry of Finance for payments, and steps have been taken to avoid the recurrence of this incidents. Mr. Speaker, these cases illustrate a disturbing pattern of fraud designed to deprive the people of Ghana hundreds of millions of cedis of public funds. Recycling of already paid IPCs and invoices. Mr. Speaker, claims amounting to 4.4 billion Ghana cedis, which had already been paid between 2020 and 2024, were fraudulently resubmitted for payment. These recycled claims originated from the following MDAs: Ministry of Roads and Highways, 3.6 billion Ghana cedis. Ministry of Health, 384.8 million Ghana cedis. Ministry of Energy, 216.7 million Ghana cedis. Ministry of Food and Agriculture, 57 million Ghana cedis. Ministry of Defense, 40.9 million Ghana cedis. Independent Power Producers, 36.4 million Ghana cedis. Ministry of Finance, 26.4 million Ghana cedis. And Ministry of Interior, 3.1 million Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, but for our vigilance, the Ghanaian taxpayer would have lost a colossal 4.4 billion Ghana cedis in these recycled claims. Right, Honorable Speaker, one eye-opening finding of this audit was that MDAs did not have sufficient records of what they had contracted, what they had paid, and what was outstanding. Shockingly, Government of Ghana was at the mercy of contractors and suppliers to determine how much is owed to them. Mr. Speaker, this calls for an urgent review, redesign, and implementation of an appropriate PFM architecture to manage our public funds. Mr. Speaker, auditors identified duplicated and overstated claims by MDAs totaling 1.4 billion Ghana cedis. These MDAs include the Ministry of Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, an amount of 408.3 million Ghana cedis. Ministry of Energy, 386.7 million Ghana cedis. The National Service Scheme, 334.5 million Ghana cedis. Ministry of Roads and Highways, 125.65 million Ghana cedis. Ministry of Health, 114.2 million Ghana cedis, and the NCCE, 8.8 million Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Defense reported 77.1 million Ghana cedis as outstanding claims for which IPCs and invoices were issued, although the contract had expired and deliveries were not made. Mr. Speaker, according to the auditors, confirmation responses received indicated an overstatement in claims by 161.9 million Ghana cedis. These emanated from Department of Urban Roads, 57 million Ghana cedis, Ministry of Transport, 39.9 million Ghana cedis, Department of Feeder Roads, 22.46 million Ghana cedis, Ministry of Food and Agriculture, 20 million Ghana cedis, Ghana Highways Authority, 17.5 million Ghana cedis, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, 2.68 million Ghana cedis. Agenda 111. Mr. Speaker, the audit of Agenda 111 projects also revealed that a total amount of $7.9 million United States dollars was paid to 35 contractors as advance mobilization under the program. But these contractors have either failed to mobilize to site or the work done is not commensurate with the amount paid. The advance mobilization guarantees secured by the 35 contractors who received the $7.9 million US dollars have all expired. The Auditor General has subsequently issued notices of surcharge to the offending contractors. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, this audit has exposed a rotten system designed to fleece the people of Ghana. It reveals not just lapses in our public financial management architecture, but a pervasive and systemic plunder of the public purse. A culture marked by the fabrication of fictitious claims, the resubmission of recycled invoices, the forgery of stores receipt advice, and the treatment of public funds as personal entitlement rather than as public trust. The President Mahama administration refuses to accept this rotten system. In fact, we refuse to normalize waste, and we refuse to ask the Ghanaian people to pay for fraud. Mr. Speaker, the Minister for Finance has formally referred the report of the Auditor General to the Attorney General to bring to account those responsible for this rape of the public purse. Those who abused their offices, colluded with contractors, falsified records, or attempted to loot the public purse through the back door will be held to account. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Finance will no longer serve as a rubber stamp for weak controls and falsified claims. Going forward, no payment will be made without full verification, no commitment will be entered into without budgetary allocation, and no officer, regardless of rank, will be shielded from accountability. This moment marks a decisive break from the past, a reset of public financial management, a declaration that discipline has returned to the center of fiscal and economic governance. Mr. Speaker, the Ghanaian people demand accountability, and under His Excellency President Mahama's government, that demand will be met with action. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I seek your leave to lay the report of the Auditor General. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Minister for Finance. Our members, I will open the floor for comment, subject to Order 91, 3, and 4. Yes, Honorable Patrick Yaboma, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this statement to Parliament is on the report of the Auditor General on arrears and payables at the end of 2024, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Article 187 of the Constitution of this country establishes the Office of the Auditor General of Ghana and empowers the Auditor General of Ghana to look into the books of all MMDAs and institutions of this country, Mr. Speaker. It also gives persons affected by the report of the Auditor General the opportunity to explain certain things before a formal report of the Auditor General is laid before the House within 6 months after each financial year. Mr. Speaker, we don't know the basis of this report. Has the Auditor General given those implicated or mentioned in this report, or those officers or the institutions mentioned thereunder, the opportunity to respond and take advantage of the provisions under Article 1879, which says that a person aggrieved by a disallowance or a surcharge made by the Auditor General may appeal to the High Court. Mr. Speaker, I believe the Minister of Finance has rushed into presenting this statement. There are various officers or institutions of state who had to be invited to answer questions. Mr. Speaker, the NDC administration has been in power for just under a year or a year and a half. They have all the powers of state to invite anyone who has committed any offense to be investigated and brought before any court of competent jurisdiction. Mr. Speaker, we rush to this house, make this statement, implicate people, and later go back and find out that they haven't committed any offense. Mr. Speaker, let's be careful with the way we handle public officers. There's been so many occasions that reports have been submitted to us, referrals are made to the Public Accounts Committee, you go there and the records are sent to them and it shows that they've committed no offense. Mr. Speaker, let's be very careful. Honorable Deputy Minister of Finance, I'm sure you are in a rush to satisfy or settle some scores. This is not the forum for this statement.
The Member of Parliament for the Kankwe Central Constituency, Patrick Yaubuama, contributing to a statement or a presentation made on the floor of the House, Parliament, by the Deputy Minister of Finance, Thomas Nyako Ampem. On the Auditor General on arrears and payables as at the end of 2024, pursuant to Order 912 of the Standing Orders of Parliament. And that's how we end today's edition of Eyewitness News that came to you live from our studios here in Accra. My name is Sami Wiafi. Earlier you heard Ajubi Wiafi Akenton. Show produced by Kwabna Wilson, Beverly London and